And welcome to another edition of the Level Racing Coffee Club interview. I'm very happy to say that we have Mark Fuller with us this week. How are you, Mark?
Great, great. I'm enjoying the latter parts of winter here in New Hampshire.
I was going to say, where are you? Because I know obviously you're in America, but I'm not too sure where you are.
So I'm about 1 hour north of Boston.
Oh,
So
okay,
if I
okay.
if I leave if I leave the state to the north, I'm in Canada.
Oh, nice. Oh, they've got some horrendous snow at the moment. Have you got snow there?
I mean, depends on your view of snow, I suppose. I love having snow. So
I
we
love
don't have a
snow.
lot, but we have maybe eh, 30 centimeters or so.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I'm so
not too
jealous.
much.
We get like an
Yeah.
inch and that's it. The UK grinds to a halt.
Like this morning, I went out to a local mountain that's an old abandoned ski resort that closed down in the 80s and took my dog with me. And my dog and I
Yeah,
go up and down the slopes for a while. We go up on our skis and then
yeah.
ski down and do a couple laps.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm jealous. I'm very jealous. Okay, so let's start off with the questions then. So, when you're out riding in real life with no snow, what is your go-to coffee?
So, yeah, my go-to coffee, I think, is normally I need to answer probably just cappuccino or latte. Although I will say it's usually a cappuccino, but I am very much a seasonal person
Oh, okay.
or a local person. Like if I go to a cafe and they're like, "Oh, this is the local special," I'll be like, "Okay, we're gonna try
Oh,
it."
fantastic.
Um, Even if it doesn't always sound that appealing. I'm like, well,
Yeah,
it's the local thing, so I
yeah.
give it a try. Or when the seasonal drinks come around for autumn or Christmas time, I'll
Pumpkin
be like,
spice.
okay, yeah, exactly. I'm not a huge pumpkin fan, but if it's
No.
for a couple weeks, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any food? Do you have a cake or a biscuit?
Uh, I enjoy a good cake, that's for sure. But no, it's normally just a coffee and then
Yeah.
back on the
Yeah.
road.
Okay. Fab. Okay. So, how did you get into racing or riding? Riding then racing.
Um, yeah, I mean, riding, racing, it's hard to separate the two.
Yeah.
I think I've raced some kind of endurance sport since I was maybe able to walk, it feels like.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, I'm definitely a journeyman sports person.
Mm.
I started out as a competitive inline speed skater. I've done
Wow.
rowing. I've done running. I used to be a swimmer, cycling.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly my father got me into cycling, and I remember probably the biggest milestone as a youth cycling was we have this charity ride called the MS
Mm.
150 to raise money for multiple sclerosis.
Yeah.
And you ride 150 miles, so 75 one day across the state of New Jersey, and then you go to sleep and
Yeah.
wake up the next day and ride back.
Yeah.
And I think my recollection of it is the first time I did it, I was an 8-year-old boy, and then a couple years later, my brother did it at 7.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
um, and then there's always growing up as a little boy,
Yeah.
you find your friends to race, and
Hmm.
you race. It's
Yeah.
what you do.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, as far as when I started riding a bike, racing a bike, racing endurance sports has basically been built into my life
Yeah.
from as far back as I can remember.
Yeah. So how did you end up at level then?
So it took me a while to actually recall the exact story, and hopefully I have all the details right. But like,
Yeah.
I hopped on Zwift at the end of 2019
Mm.
after a running season where I had finished the year not severely injured, but just nursing some niggles, some
Mm.
pains, and took a couple months off and picked up a trainer for the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
And, started doing my workouts on the trainer. Had found I really enjoyed riding the bike again.
Yeah.
I used to race and for a while took a step back because I moved over to Germany and then moved back to the States.
Yeah.
But also we'll call it like 2012 to 2016 in the US, road cycling just felt probably the most unsafe I've ever felt it.
Mm.
Um, Between distracted driving, friends that had incidents with cars, as
Yeah.
the sport wasn't for me anymore at that point. And I left it for a while, came back that winter, and remembered how much I loved the bike. Certainly, I think the hands-free driving is improved. I won't say there's still not distracted drivers; they're out
Yeah.
there. But between that and like the Varia, the Garmin Varia, the bike radars,
Yeah.
it gives me enough safety that I'm like, okay, I love this sport enough that I'm willing to take these risks.
Yeah.
Um, but then, yeah, so 2019 to 2020, I was on Zwift and I was actually getting ready to race over in Tokyo, running for the marathon, and that got canceled because COVID, and then
COVID.
COVID kept going on. And being someone that has spent my entire life racing,
Mhm.
I was looking for something to do, and that was, I believe, the first year of ZRL, the very first year, very first round. And back
Wow.
then, they had a a recruitment board, basically like, hey, if you don't have a team, send us an email and we'll get you on a team.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Okay.
so I threw my name in the hat
Mm.
and they actually took me. So I was a member of WTRL, and I was a rider for a level member who I don't think is as active on Zwift anymore as he used to be, but Ross Upton. And
Right.
then I took the captainship of that team, which was Venturi.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Actually, the original name was Icarus, and then Icarus was a C and a B team, and then we switched the B team to Venturi, and I took captainship of Venturi. And we had a handful of riders that are all level members now: Steve
Yeah.
Gallagher, James Sherwin,
Yeah.
Adam, Chris Manart. All these guys
Yeah.
were riders that I rode with under WTRL, and then WTRL split up. Uh, I didn't know anybody outside of my own local team and
Yeah.
said, hey, you guys have been here longer than me. What's your feeling? Where do we go? And we kind of came to a unanimous decision, or at least no one against it, that, okay, we're all going to follow Steve over to level.
Yeah.
And we all came over,
Yeah.
and the rest is kind of history.
And it's grown ever since.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, short of Ross, who just isn't on Zwift anymore,
Yeah.
or he's very rarely, I should
Yeah.
say. I still see him occasionally, but like the rest of the guys are still here. We still
Yeah.
chat. I mean, as I go up and down the various ranks, I'll be like, "Hey, I'm back, guys. I'm back on your team," and then I'll disappear again for a while into
Yeah.
some other team.
Yeah.
Um, yep.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. Oh, so you've been here right from the start then.
I mean, it certainly feels that way, but it's
Yeah.
I mean, there was a group before me, but yeah, I've been around for a while. I've
Yeah.
been in every ZRL round that has existed.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. A bucket list item you have achieved already.
It's
There's going to be
it's
quite a few
funny.
there, I should imagine, but
Well, it's funny because I think about this and I'm like, well, I don't know that I necessarily had it on the bucket list. I just kind of go through life a little bit happy-go-lucky. I mean, certainly I plan my racing, and I plan my training, but I can't say 5 years from now this is even the sport that I'm going to be doing. Like I've
Mm,
had enough bouncing around from one
yeah.
endurance sport to another, follow what I love, and then something falls into place. But as I thought about it, a couple that stood out to me as, oh yeah, that should definitely be on the bucket list is, I mean, back when I was a youth, so I guess early bucket list,
Mhm.
uh, had a world record in the 50K
Wow.
speed skate.
Yeah.
So had a juniors world record for a while, and then a couple years ago, after 2 years of injuries where I had broken my foot, uh, took a couple months to get ready for nationals here in the duathlon and
Mhm.
managed to win the national
Oh,
title.
wow. Fantastic.
And then last year went over to Switzerland as a representative of Team USA and ended up on the World Championship podium. So for my age group, so that
Wow.
was that was another one that I was like, oh,
Oh
wasn't
my
exactly
gosh.
expected,
That's
and
amazing.
I
Fantastic. Well done.
but these are definitely the pre-canned answers. But at the same point, a lot of my bucket list, one of my favorite things to do is just work with training groups around here. I
Yeah.
enjoy working with Level. um, there are who knows how many dinner parties, meetings that I've gone to where someone will introduce me and then they'll instantly say, oh, this is the person that did this
Yeah.
giant through hike with me. And that's really
Yeah.
kind of the bucket list that I enjoy, is like, yeah,
Yeah.
I want to be able to show up at a dinner party and then someone be like, oh, this is Mark and this is what we did, not just, oh,
Yeah.
this is Mark.
Yeah. Mark and we did
Yeah,
this.
exactly.
But that was last year. So in this year, he's done this.
Yep.
Okay. Have you got anything that you would like to achieve? Is there anything out there that you'd like to do?
Yeah, so I mean, a couple of things. I think it would be awesome to do like a team at the Hout route, do like the 7 day Pyrenees or the Alps and get, a good group of level riders or a good group of guys that I
You don't
know
aim
around
low,
here.
do you? You're like, let's just go full out and go like right up here.
100%.
Oh my gosh. It's fantastic. Go on,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, 100%. That is,
Yeah.
we're gonna make some good memories, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. Okay. So is there anything else barring climbing the Pyrenees?
I mean, I there's always good stories. My dog and I work on doing all the 4,000 footers in New Hampshire, which I mean aren't giant mountains, but they are
Yeah.
super scenic and get rugged. And I kind of have also another bucket list to ski all 48 of those
Yeah.
and find routes down. So it's a fun little set of adventures to
I'm
do. And
sure you're going to do it as well. Oh my gosh. Okay. So which three guests would you invite to a dinner party?
So probably the first one that I almost always need to have by my side is my wife, who
Yeah.
I'll get stuck in conversation, and I can't say that I am the best person at taking social cues. So she'll be like, Mark, it's 1 a.m. We should really go home at this point. So I probably need her there just to like pick
Yeah.
up on all the other social cues.
Yeah.
But, within the cycling world, because I try to keep it to the cycling world since this is
You
a
don't have to.
cycling
It could
podcast.
it
No,
could
no, I
be
thought
whoever
of
you I
I thought
chose
of
wrestlers.
well, I thought of several. I mean, two current or at least relatively recent cyclists. I'm a huge Sepp Kuss fan. I I've always found the domestique role of Sepp Kuss and a mountain climber and an American cyclist. So I got to
Yeah.
have him on that
Yeah.
list. And he certainly would have some interesting stories, I'm sure,
Mm,
from the Vuelta when he managed to win the overall jersey. So
yeah, for sure.
he's definitely got to be on that list. Fabian Cancellara is the other relatively recent cyclist. He's
Yeah.
retired now, obviously, but that he was an inspiration to me as a kid. So
Yeah.
it's hard to leave him off the list. And then
Yeah.
I thought, okay, if we can pick anybody, maybe they're not here with us anymore, but Gino Bartali is
Hmm.
one of my things that I'll do a lot of times when I'm doing zone two training or just base load on Zwift is I'll love listening to a good audiobook. Like I'll sit in the training channel in case any level members want to hop on and just
Yeah.
chat. But I'm just as content listening through my books
Yeah.
or reading them. And I find Gino Bartali's story incredibly fascinating. Like he's got the longest span between Tour de France wins, and he's got World War II in between there, where he
Jeez.
has a biography out there where he was training in Italy and he didn't agree with the the political environment there. So he'd actually like shuttle papers for Jews to get out of
Yeah.
Italy in his bicycle
Wow.
tubes and whatnot. And he kind of goes through his adventures in
Oh,
the biography
I need to
that
look at
it's
that then.
just fascinating. Yeah, the book is Road to Valor is
Road
the
to
book
Valor.
about
Okay.
him. I think he'd just be an incredibly fascinating one. And the other
Yeah.
one was Marshall Taylor. So Major Taylor is a U.S. track cyclist actually at the black track cyclist just after the American Civil War.
Yeah.
So incredibly fascinating character. Not that far from here, actually lived in
Yeah.
Worcester, Massachusetts, and I'm no track cyclist, but his story seems incredible, and I just
Yeah.
want to get to know
Oh,
more.
okay. Okay. All right. Fab. So moving on, if you were stuck in the Utopian desert, what three items would you
I
take with you in your backpack?
mean, I guess if it's in my backpack, maybe I don't need to worry. I'll already have trainers on because I love a good run too.
Yeah.
I and I am one that does not mind the snow, and I really don't
Yep.
mind hot weather either. So we'll get a fresh hat
Yep.
to avoid some of the sun exposure, maybe some water purification tablets to, you
Mm.
know, any springs we find, we can have some
Yep.
water on the way and maybe a serrated shovel or so if I need to dig into a cactus or dig something out of the sand.
Yeah. Did you hear Dale's responses? I don't know if you heard him. He was
Yes,
like,
yes. No,
the
I've watched
train, a
all the
ticket to the
coffee
train
clubs.
that goes through the
Yeah,
desert. So, I was so clever.
yeah.
I didn't even think of
That
that.
one was definitely clever, and I was like, oh, yeah, there's the train that goes right through there, so
It
it's an
does.
easy way out. But I'm like, I'm sure I could make a good adventure out of a run,
Yeah,
and
he did his homework for sure. Okay. Favorite city in the world and why?
it's hard for me not to pick New York City.
Hmm.
There's been a good number of cities through Europe that I've really had wonderful times at.
Mm.
But if I look at my athletic career, New York City is where my fastest marathon is. It's where I
Yeah.
set my world record for the inline speed skating. It's just got a lot of fond memories.
Yeah.
The number of times I've ridden a bike, raced skates, run through Central Park. I enjoy going down, even for those years which I have not run the New York City Marathon. I'll go
Mm.
down and usually cheer on friends and make a
Yeah.
weekend of it. Go to a Broadway show,
Yeah.
uh, and
Nice.
just have a good time there.
Yeah. I must admit, it's always been on the list to go there, especially at Christmas time, but I've just never, for whatever reason, just never got round to doing it. But it's definitely on, it's still on the list.
Nice, nice.
So
No, it's a wonderful city, despite really preferring being in the country and being in a quiet area. I do enjoy a good visit to the city.
yeah,
I'm not sure I could live there, but I do enjoy a good visit.
yeah, it's quite intense, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Somewhere you have visited previously and would always go back.
This
New
one
York.
was fairly, no, this one was fairly straightforward for me. Lauterbrunnen in Switzerland for
Yeah.
me is the top of that list. Yeah, so the World Championships for long distance duathlon is always in Switzerland, and
Oh, okay.
the first year I went, we took a week afterwards to go backpacking.
Mm,
So, the first thing you want to do after you've raced for 8 hours is go backpacking for
yeah.
a week.
Yeah, but
But
Switzerland. I mean,
yeah,
wow.
but no, my wife and I took a week backpacking there, and we brought over essentially two trips worth of stuff, all my stuff for racing, and then we
Yeah.
rented a storage unit, threw all that stuff in the storage unit, took our backpacks out,
Yeah.
and went hiking for a week.
Yeah.
And I had planned out a
Amazing.
route where we'd go up a handful of the peaks there,
Mm,
and we'd stay at a different spot every night. Uh, Roodstokhut is by far my like
yeah.
gem out there. You've got to walk about 15 kilometers out
Mm,
from the train station to get there, and once you're back there on the backside of the Schilthorn,
yeah.
it's just the hut that you're staying in. Everyone that's there is
Wow.
backpacked at least 10
Yeah.
kilometers to get there, and it's just a magical place out
Yeah.
there by the Eiger. And
Yeah.
yep.
That's weird actually, because literally a couple of hours ago I was watching there's an ultra marathon guy that I follow, Jeff Tellier, I think his name is. And him and his wife Hillary was actually doing an ultra marathon race out in
Yeah.
Switzerland about the Eiger. Actually, she was, and then I went on to watch one of her videos about where she done an ultra marathon at the Eiger or around that area. It's just amazing.
Oh, it
Absolutely,
is.
Switzerland is
It is.
gorgeous.
Yeah,
Absolutely
and
gorgeous.
the week we were there, the day after we left was the Jungfrau Marathon
Yeah,
that ends there at that base station of the Eiger.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yep.
it is. It's lovely, but we it was funny because they was talking about going over suspension bridges, and I was just like, I love a good ultra marathon. I'm not allowed to run anymore at the moment.
Yeah.
I may in the future. I've been advised never to run again, but hey, you know. But even that going over a suspension bridge, no, you just no. But I mean, the scenery out there is
Oh
just
yeah. The scenery is
yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah.
The number of pictures I have, and
I can imagine.
probably my favorite picture and moment of that trip was, I think it was day two, but we were coming up on the backside of the Schilthorn, and we come up right on an ibex, and ibex was just there looking at
Yeah,
us like, "What are you doing out here?" And
yeah.
I have so many pictures of that ibex.
Oh wow, that sounds amazing. Oh, jealous. Okay. Where are we up to? So, what would you choose off the menu when you go out to dinner?
So I'm a very big curry fan. Thai
Hmm.
ramen. Um, any nice curry spiced dish is
Yeah.
usually my favorite. But I will eat
Yeah.
almost anything. But curry dishes are definitely
Yeah.
my favorite.
Okay. Are you one of these where you'll check the menu out beforehand, or do you just go in
No,
and
no. In fact, in a lot of ways, my wife is very much a check the menu. We'll be driving and she'll already know exactly what she wants. And
yeah,
for myself, I I can become very easily overwhelmed by a menu
yeah,
that's just too diverse.
yeah,
So I'll usually stick to my staples.
yeah,
Um, for example, most breakfast and lunch, not that I go out for breakfast and lunch that
yeah,
frequently, but I pretty much have a staple of, two or three things that I will ever eat for
yeah,
breakfast and lunch. And I just eat it the
yeah,
same every day
yeah,
because it's one less thing I need to think about.
yeah. No, that's true. That's true. Okay. What would be your drink of choice with dinner?
So, I mean, with the dinner, I'll usually stick to water or seltzer. But I have become a fairly big fan of a good whiskey afterwards.
Hmm.
Um, Interestingly enough, I used to be a huge beer fan. I still don't mind a good beer.
Yeah.
Later this year, I'm looking forward to meeting some of our level Belgian riders, and I'm sure I'll get to have a good Belgian beer there.
Yeah.
But I found more and more that beer affects my sleep quality, but
Yeah.
interestingly enough, whiskey has minimal to no effect
Yeah.
from tracking my sleep metrics. So I'm like, oh, okay, whiskey doesn't seem to bother my sleep, and I love a
Yeah.
good whiskey. So
Yeah.
Jones and I'll occasionally
Yeah.
discuss it, or I know Elise and I have discussed it in the past.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, your favorite course on Swift and why?
So I need to say probably my favorite course is the Four Horsemen. And pretty much anything that goes up Alpe d'Huez. Like I love that Alpe d'Huez climb.
Really?
Like the Alpe d'Huez climb to me is just, yeah, it's very peaceful. It's,
I
I
hate
just get
that
into
climb.
it.
I do not. I just don't do long climbs. Alp and
Oh,
epic. I'm just
this
no.
is
Yeah,
the
I'm
long
turning
climbs
left
are my
there.
bread
I'm
and
not.
butter.
I'm not going up that route. Turn left, quick. You turn.
Yeah, in fact, it's funny because I thought about the various routes that go up Alpe d'Huez, and I think Four Horsemen needs to be it, largely due to Flamme Rouge racing. I haven't done a full
Oh,
series
Flamme
since
Rouge.
then because usually it conflicts with some other
Mm.
race that I'm paying money for instead
Yeah,
of a free Zwift race.
yeah,
But I really do enjoy the Flamme Rouge racing
yeah.
setup. And I
I love
remember
FRR.
the Tour de France 20, so it would be, let's see, this is 20, must have been 2023, so fall of
Mm.
2023 I did it. And the Four Horsemen stage was the Queen stage. And funny enough, I had started that week figuring I'd just do a couple stages. And then my wife and I were going out to the Berkshires, a set of mountains in Western Massachusetts,
Yeah,
for the final weekend of that tour.
yeah,
And I was like, okay, well, I'll race the first 6 days and then we'll head out and go that way.
yeah,
And heading into that weekend, I happened to be in the general classification jersey, and I was like, well, I actually feel pretty good about this. And now we're hitting the stages that I really enjoy. So
yeah.
I packed my trainer, I packed my rocker plate, my trainer bike,
Mm.
which is just one of my old road bikes, and put it all in the truck and drove out to Western Mass for vacation and
Yeah,
finished FRR on that
yeah,
vacation at 4:35 in the morning. I'd wake up and eat my short breakfast before the FRR stage, and
yeah,
yeah, the day that won it for me was that Four Horsemen route and
yeah,
going up the Alp.
yeah,
I love that climb.
yeah. Oh, okay. Right. Need to move on because I've literally just had a warning coming up about timing.
No
So,
worry.
well, who is the most famous person you've met?
I mean, I feel like there's a good number of candidates that I could put into this category. Going across multiple sports, I've met Olympians from the running world, from
Yeah,
the cycling world, uh, from the rowing world. And one of the things that always sticks out to me is that they all come across as very normal people. Like they're
yeah,
very approachable.
yeah.
But probably the most incidental, random one was I was running the Chicago Marathon several years back when Shalane Flanagan, who's a U.S. Olympian
Mm,
in the 10K through marathon distance, and she was doing all of the major marathons. And right around 10K into the marathon, I had run up alongside her and I have her cookbook, and we love following the recipes out of her cookbook. And we just
Yeah.
start talking about cooking in the middle of the
Yeah.
marathon. Like we're just running some kilometers side by side, talking
Fantastic.
about cooking.
Yeah.
And
That
yeah,
is brilliant.
that was
Oh,
a very special memory of that marathon for me.
yeah. Very random. Okay. The first car you owned.
So the first car I owned was a Ford Crown Victoria station wagon. I've got two other brothers and sister. We always had large vehicles for transporting people.
Yeah.
So the first vehicle was this station wagon, but I did need to add probably the second vehicle, and it may have been the third. I don't know whether it was number two or three, but probably the most unique one was at one point my family had decided that, well, we need to just transport a lot of people, and they got a deal on a limousine that used to be part of the Russian embassy from DC. So we drove around in what used to be the Russian embassy's limousine.
Oh God.
And that was car number two or three.
Oh my gosh. You have got some stories. That's mad. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right, so moving on. What's your favorite color?
uh, Probably something simple like red, though. I mean, this time of year, I do love a good white snow.
Yeah.
So, but usually 9 out of 10 days, it's probably red.
Yeah. Okay. And the last question, the name of your first pet.
So this one took a while to think of as well, because we had always had what most people would consider fairly unusual pets growing up. And the first one I can think of that was probably mine and had a name was a toad called Bufo. But like we grew up toads. One of the more unique ones was a lungfish, one of these fish from Africa that can breathe air and water.
Yeah.
Uh, at one point, we had an alligator. Certainly a random collection of pets, but the first one that I think I can recall its name was Bufo a toad.
Oh my God. I'm never going to look at you in the same light. Oh my God. That's brilliant. I've never heard of anyone having a pet toad before or an alligator. I mean, a toad, yeah, okay. I can kind of understand that if you have a pond, but an alligator, how did that go? Or did it just turn up?
No, we bought it because, as I recall, it's native to Africa, like the
Yeah.
toad that we had.
Wow. Okay. All right. I think we'll finish there. But that's fantastic. Honestly, oh God, I could carry on talking to you for ages. I don't have
Anytime. You
time.
usually find me on the training channel, just
I do
pedaling
actually
away,
see
zone
you
two.
when I'm going through Swift. When I'm going Discord, just having a nosy because I like to keep an eye on
Yeah,
Discord, and I always see Mark voice channel. It's like, why are you always on there on your own?
because I'm normally just pedaling away, listening to some
Yeah.
book, and then if someone
Oh,
hops on and wants to
yeah.
chat away,
Oh,
we'll chat away.
fantastic. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mark, for joining us.
You're
It's really
welcome.
appreciated. And yeah, I'll
Thank
see
you.
you out on the road somewhere on Swift.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right then.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you. You too.
Cheers.